Having confidence and the ability to communicate your thoughts concisely and clearly are two of the most important skills that you will ever need in all walks of life. Couple that with public speaking skills and suddenly you are super employable. That's exactly what our guest Nathaniel is going to talk about today. He's going to talk about how he went through a public speaking training that I delivered and how he uses it today in the business that he started with his brother-in-law. And through that training, Nathaniel's been able to come out of his shell, gain confidence communication skills so he can negotiate with sellers to grow his business. By the way, if you want to do the same public speaking training, it is in the link in the description below. So if you're young and want the confidence to get out there and do your thing, you're going to love this video. Let's go.
Public speaking is something I've always been interested in, but I haven't really made any attempt to go for. And I saw this opportunity to learn some public speaking with you. And so I thought I'd give it a shot. And it's actually helped me not only in my business side, but also my daily life. I'm just trying to improve my outward reputation.
That's awesome. So what you're saying is you got help from your personal life and your professional life, and you've been able to apply the skills you've learned from training to both of those things. So can you explain how each of those things have changed from before to now?
The business I've been focusing on more lately has been the couch flipping. And so what we're doing is me and my brother-in-law, we're buying old used couches that are damaged in some way, fixing them, and then selling them for more money. And so the ability to negotiate prices and go into a situation where you're willing to leave and not have that nervous, sometimes when you get nervous, you're more like suggestible, like someone else can kind of take advantage of you when you're nervous. And so I've tried to learn how to get past that by being more confident in how I speak and how I present myself. Especially being self-employed, it's more of when I'm in those negotiations of kind of fighting for me rather than just my business, because the more money I'm able to make, the better off I'll be.
That's amazing that you're treating this like a real business now. So you're not just going to undercut yourself. You instead stick to your values, stick to your guts. And instead of being nervous like you may have been before, because you've gone through kind of public speaking training and understand how to control your emotions, how to present yourself confidently, you're able to communicate the value that you bring so you can get the rewards off the back of that. Let me take it back for a second though. You said you and your brother-in-law are now doing couch flipping. That's pretty cool. Like, what got you into that?
So a few months ago, actually, my brother sent me a YouTube video of a guy doing the same thing. He would fix couches, buy them for cheap, fix them and sell them for like maybe $100 or $200 more. And I have a lot of skills in fixing things because my 9-to-5 type of job is I'm a maintenance man, a handyman. And so all day I'm fixing things, cleaning things and trying to improve the way things look. And so he texted me and said, hey, bro, how about we join together? I've got a lot of money. You have the skills. Why don't we both work on this together? And we try and fix couches and flip them. And it's like, yeah, I've got nothing else to do. I need some money. And so we started trying it out. And so far, it's actually been doing pretty well. Our first couch, we got actually for free. We made $350 on just basic cleaning. And so just our first couch, we made a profit of $350. It actually did a huge boost to my confidence. So because of how well that did and how we actually saw that this is something we could be doing, he came down, he decided to that we can just focus on trying to set things up to make us improve. And so we bought a storage unit. We made some plans of how we could be selling couches and buying couches. And right now I have 2 couches in the storage unit right now. And I've got 2 couches in my garage that I'm cleaning right now. So, we've already starting to get into a habit of rotating through inventory and getting money and trying to figure things out. So it's amazing how quick things can pick up speed when you have that morale boost. All that was done in like 2 weeks.
That's amazing. I love that story. The best thing I love about it is that most people don't have the patience to put something up there and then wait for a long time before they can actually see the results. I'm guessing you didn't get your money the first few minutes after you put up your first sofa, right?
I think we may have jumped the gun a little too bit. We were a little too excited to actually get it posted that we immediately dropped $200 off the price within the first 3 hours because we wanted to sell so bad. And so it didn't sell for another 2 or 3 days, I think. And I live near a city. So there are a lot of people interested in looking for furniture. But we were hoping it would sell immediately. And so we kind of maybe lost money doing that. But it was still a good profit. We got a free couch. We weren't complaining.
I love that. Majority profits, right? As long as it's free couch, so really it's just your petrol or diesel or whatever fuel to go there and back. That's basically your expense. I think probably the best part of it is now you guys have confidence that what you're doing is maybe working. So I can see why you've expanded to 4 sofas now.
4 couches right now. We've probably in total spent $500 getting all of them. Sweet. And we're hoping to profit at least $100 per couch. So maybe double our the money we put in to get it back and buy more couches. Because right now we're not keeping the money from our business. We're using the money to fund it so that we can get it to a level where we can actually be making good money and then quit our main jobs and go into that. But another thing, to go back to where you're talking about how, you get excited and you're wanting to selling really quick and like the expectation versus reality. Another thing is for when we're buying the couches, it's much different than I thought it would be. Usually you would think that when you're offering, just a little bit less than what they're asking for in cash immediately, you would think they'd want to take that. But in reality, it's most of the time the people that you talk to for a couple days, consecutively, that they actually will sell it to you. It's not just that, one text like, hey, I'm interested, I want this. Odds are they're not going to say yes. It's usually people who you have conversations with that are more interested in you buying it from them.
We bought and sold kind of secondhand things before. And when we were trying to buy them, I would message them and ages later, the person wouldn't even respond. So I'm like, I'm sitting here like, take my money, and they just haven't responded. I'm like, you're trying to get rid of this thing though. So it's pretty weird. So what I'm really curious about is your negotiation process now with your new communication skills. Talk to me about that. Like when you're buying or selling, like what's the negotiation for the sale look like?
Try and make a conversation of like, hey, where are you from? Like, I just want to know if you're within range. I do have cash and I am interested in this couch, but I'd like to check it out first. And we can kind of negotiate price later if, you still want to sell it and you agree with my price, or, try and get them to talk. Because I've noticed that when you're buying, if you can make the person talk more and feel more like a conversation rather than a business deal, you can kind of get more information that way, but also kind of lock their interest in you as being the buyer. So they're more interested in giving it to you. Because I've had one person actually hold a couch for me. I wasn't able to pick it up that day, and they held the couch for me for the next day. And so any offers they received after that, they said they held them back while they were waiting for me to come check it out because they wanted me to see it. So awesome. Building that relationship with those people is actually very important.
One of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make when talking about sales is like literally just going through a script. And sometimes it just feels so like you're talking to a chatbot. You just say something and then it just comes out with something completely random that it doesn't really understand you. So it's impersonal. So if you're doing that in sales, then people are just also disconnected with you. So how is it going to build rapport? In one of the other videos, I recorded a sales training that I did with one of the London boroughs. And it's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, how do you build rapport with the people so that you actually find out a few more things about them than just the surface level, which is exactly what you're doing, which is awesome. Because now they feel like they like you and they'll probably even give you a better deal. Ultimately, people want to do business with people that they like. So even though it takes a little bit longer, I think it might still be more useful.
We're wanting to build a business out of it. And I think being able to have that relationship will allow us, once we're further on down the road and we have more of a established business, because even last night, I actually picked up a new couch and I was planning on just going over there, picking up the couch and leaving. But we started a conversation and ended up spending like 25 minutes just talking about, what she does for a living. If I had a business card and gave it to her, I'm very sure that she'd be willing to recommend, our business or us buying from any of their friends because of that good connection we had, and that, I'm a real person. I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. If you treat it like a real thing, it's going to become a real thing. If you treat it like a one-time transaction, it might not be good. The thing is, people who are selling, they might have other friends who might want to sell their stuff to you. Or people who are buying, they might have other friends who are buying to you. So they might just recommend their friends over to you directly. And also nowadays, the whole sustainability movement. So you're upcycling, recycling all this stuff. If you can brand and market it right, then you can probably serve those type of people as well and get that customer base going.
And I eventually would like to get into owning rental properties. I mean, that's of course further down the line. But now that me and my brother are building this furniture business, we can now offer furniture for the places, and we can be saving money because we bought it cheap and we fix it ourselves. Thinking a couple of weeks ago of what would my life look like if I had no fear, like if I had no concerns of anything else. And I was thinking I'd probably be very successful because I'd be willing to try those risks. And even though I'd probably fail a ton of them, if I found the one that works, then, I'm set, I'm ready to go. It made me more confident in this more of experimental side of entrepreneurship, of the couch flipping to get to the real estate. It's motivated me to test it out because of what you just said.
I heard Gary Vee mention this once before and I really, really loved it. So I'm going to share it with you. You said you're 23, right? So if you try things now, try and experiment different ways of doing things, different business ideas, different business models, and say you try 2 new things a year for the next 7 years, you'll then be 30. Right? By then, you've tried 14 different things. Let's assume none of it works out for you, which is obviously not going to be true because you both are very bright individuals and you're exceptional human beings, so it's going to work out. But say worst case scenario, it doesn't work out for 7 years. You'll then be 30. But most people say they're working or they're retiring. The retirement age, let's say, is going to be around 70, right? So there's 40 years from the day you turn 30 all the way until the day you retire if you had a normal job. So that's more time left ahead of you than the time you've spent so far from the day you were born until all of these 14 different companies not working out, 14 different ideas not working out. So you can literally do everything you've done from the day you were born again and still have 10 years left over. So thinking like that kind of gives me a little bit of ease to be like, okay, cool. Like I have time, I have ability to kind of do stuff, and I don't have to be too worried about literally having things done in the next month, when actually I can chug things along and do things the right way so that I can get better results in the next year or the next 5 years. And I think that's a better way of looking at it.
One that's made the biggest difference has been to try and prevent myself from getting nervous before the conversation and during, because I'm I wouldn't say much of a people pleaser, but I like people to like me. I don't want to come off as a rude person. I don't want to come off as, a mean person. But at the same time, I have to remember that I need to be firm, and because I am fighting for my business. I am trying to do it in a very fair way. I'm not trying to like pull anything over on them. I'm not, negotiating half price when I know it's worth more. But, when I see stains on couches and stuff, I'm like, yeah, you never mentioned this. I need some kind of discount because of that. I drove all this way. I don't want to be duped out of that money or out of that value when I know, you refuse to give me that information. Like even a couple of weeks ago, I was very nervous, and because I don't know, a whole bunch of things were happening in the personal life where it kind of makes your self-confidence not as high. And so when I was going into this deal, I wasn't really sure of myself or sure of my motivation in the business. And so I went and picked up the couch and then kind of just going through the motions, gave him the money. I put the couch in my truck and went home, and I unloaded it. And when I was unloading it, I realized that there was a ton of like damage to it that I never paid attention to because I was nervous and just wasn't all mentally there. And I would have had the chance to probably remove maybe $100 from the overall price that I paid because of how severe the damage was. I mean, there was tears on the pillows had holes in them. Some of the legs of the couch were like, they were wooden legs, so they had like holes in them. It was very damaged. And it was at that point that I realized that I need to be paying more attention and remove that nervousness when I go into these things. And I need to focus on being comfortable, but also making the other person comfortable. I wouldn't say this is necessarily unorthodox, but something I've tried is just realizing they're people. They're just like me. So when I'm going to their house, it's not like I'm going to a business deal where there are, hundreds of thousands of dollars are on the line. I'm just talking to someone to buy a couch for $200. It's not a big deal, but when you're in that situation, and I'm a kind of an introverted person, I don't know if I come off that way, but I don't talk to a lot of people often. So when I'm in person with somebody talking with them, I immediately am already nervous because I'm trying to sound cool or be nice or whatever. But the best thing is for me, has been to just realize I'm no different than them. We're just talking. It's not a big deal. I'm probably never going to see them again.
It's really cool. And I think you've articulated that really well. The reality is like there's always, in every social situation, there's always a leader and a follower in terms of conversations, let's say. And a simple example I can give you is like there's always one person probably who makes the final call on where you're going to go eat that day in your friend group, right? So that person in your friend group might be seen as a leader in that situation or in most situations. Even if the difference is that 1% extra of authority or whatever it is within your friend group for that one person, they become that leader. That 1% is what something a lot of people can pick up on in their social cues. You're kind of not thinking about all of these things that might be in the back of your head about like, oh, I'm an introvert, like I don't like talking to people, I have these insecurities, blah, blah. Because if you had those thoughts, of course, you're never going to be able to go and put your best foot forward and not be nervous because you're just thinking about all this negative stuff. So instead, you're saying, cool, like, forget about judgment. Like I don't care what they think about because it's not really relevant to me. I might never see them again. This is something that we are looking to solve together. It's going to create a win-win situation. So instead of looking at it like I want this, you want that, instead you're like, cool, here's a problem. We're both going to be on the same side of that problem and try to solve it. So that puts you on equal pegging. And so you're going to be able to be more confident because say, we're exactly the same. We're looking to solve the same problem. So let's be a team instead of let's be against each other. I view confidence in two different ways. So one is like the external confidence and one is the self-confidence, which is the internal. And I've got 2 videos around those things as well that talk about both of those differences. But the most important aspect of that is like external confidence because it can waver all the time, right? It's like up and down based on the situations that are happening around you. You can get affected by it quite easily. So this is how you present yourself forward. So the better you are at being resilient towards the external environmental changes, the more confident you can present yourself without much trouble. The inner confidence, however, is something that should be relatively unwavering. And that's, for me, the way I think about it is my belief in my own ability to do things. So how confident am I that I can do something? And if I've stacked up enough evidence behind me to say that I usually do the things that I say I will, then chances are the next thing that comes around, I'll probably do that as well. So I have confidence that I will be able to achieve that next goal. So my self-confidence, regardless of what's happening in the outside world, is going to remain relatively unchanged. So what are some of your tips on how people can gain that kind of confidence, and what have you done that has worked for you? I think that'll be a good way to give some advice to people.
Make a game plan, kind of like you were talked about with your public speaking course, of making a storyboard, making whatever I'm wanting to do interesting. I kind of go through various things that I could talk about, or like small conversation prompts that I could mention to kind of get both of us not nervous. The more I talk, the less nervous I get. So I kind of think of ways to kind of break the ice as soon as I get there, so that it's not just all business. Like when I went to go meet that lady last night, I walked up to her, said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And said, "Is it okay if I park here? I don't know," kind of just trying to make conversation. And then after about 3 or 4 minutes of that, then we went to go see the couch. And so by the time I go up there, I'm not nervous, because I know for a fact I'm going to be nervous when I arrive. There's no way. Me personally, I get nervous very easily. And so I know I'm going to be nervous, but I'm trying to figure out how to get out of that nervousness as soon as possible when I arrive, so that it's only like 30 seconds of being nervous, and then the rest of it's just comfortable. So I'd say kind of get to know like how you get nervous, and then figure out the points that will make you unnervous, kind of like me trying to figure out a way to start a good conversation to make me not nervous anymore. So for me, it's just talking, is thinking about what to talk about. It makes me not nervous anymore.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you did, leave a like below. Also, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. It's going to help you boss up your life, mind, body, and career. So don't wait up. By the way, all the links are in the description below that you should follow. And while you're here, check out this video, because YouTube thinks you're going to love it. And I will catch you in the next one.